Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy. I'm a compulsive overeater. I should say I'm the other Nancy on the screen. I weigh and measure my 3 meals a day from the gray sheet. I write them in my book right here. I don't eat anything in between, no matter what, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life without exception. My abstinence date is March 18th, 2007. So if I make it through the next 2 months, it will be 16 years, and goes by like that. I just can't believe it. Thank you, Laura, for asking me. I don't think I've ever been on this meeting before, so it's nice to be here. Since it's a beginner's meeting, I'll talk about my beginning for starters. I was 57 by the time I got here. So that's a long time to be struggling with weight issues. I was a very, very fat child. Off and on, I was a fat adult, mostly on. I'm keeping off about, at this point, about 90 pounds for these almost 16 years. So, which is a miracle in and of itself, because as the statistics show that most people keep weight off for 5 years tops, and then they're back into the food business. But Gray Sheet really has saved my life. Like I said, I came in when I was 57. I had spent some time in OA, Overeaters Anonymous, for 11 years. It didn't work for me at the end there, and I left after swearing that I would never leave OA. I left after 11 years. I quit therapy. I quit OA. I said, I'm sick of working on myself. I'm tired. I need a break. Well, the break lasted 10 years. I do not recommend it. It's not a good thing to do. I should have stuck around. But what happened was I gained all the weight back that I had lost in OA. I gained it back halfway through OA when they did away with Gray Sheet, because I was using Gray Sheet to lose my weight in OA, and then it disappeared, and I was back in the running there. So what happened by the time I got here, at the end of those 10 years, I was really starting to lose my mobility. I was over 240 pounds. I was pushing out of an American size 26 already. I don't know if you know American sizes, but it's big. And I was falling apart. I'd been to the orthopedist. I was having a hard time walking. And I said, I was terrified. I could not stop eating. I was really terrified. This is a compulsion. This is an addiction. And for newcomers, I think that's something that's important to accept. This is a disease, and it's not a moral failure. It's a disease. So, but I always looked at it as a moral failure. What is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? I am so weak. And, it takes a long time to realize that if they're writing books about it, and there's whole groups of people that are gathering to talk about it, and there's there is this solution out there, it takes a long time to realize that I'm not the only person that feels this way. I mean, here we are, and I really, for newcomers especially, I really say, get into the community, let yourself be known, raise your hand, share, say your name if that's all you can say, and just so that people know that you're here. It took me the longest time to do that. Again, I recommend don't be like me. When I walked in the door, I'll tell you how I got here. At the end of those 10 years of hell, when I was walking down the steps one step at a time with the same foot leading, and then walking up and cringing as I walked up, I happened to run into 2 friends of mine in the space of 3 days. I hadn't seen them in a long time. I'm an artist. They were a couple of my artist pals, and I hadn't seen them for ages, and they both looked great. So what's the first thing that an obese person says when they see somebody that used to be obese? And, isn't anymore. And the first thing you say is, what are you doing, right? So the first person says, I'm going to GreySheet. And I went, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that GreySheet was a standalone program by itself, because I'd been out there for those 10 years of hell in the desert, right? And then 2 days later, I ran into another friend from my craft guild who was also in OA. And at that point, I said, as I always say, okay, I get the point. I'm getting in the rowboat. Somebody's sending me a rowboat. I'm getting in. So I said to her, will you please
10
take
minutes,
me?
Nance, 10 minutes left.
Okay, thanks. I said, will you please take me to a meeting? I went to the meeting. It was a relief when I got there, but yet, as I always say, I walked in with my arms crossed, and I said, I'm just such a defiant person, and the first thing I thought of was, this is really weird. This is a cult. Look, these people are talking, that I was acquainted with the 12-step programs because of OA, but I don't know, there was just something about it. I was a skeptic. I thought the slogans were stupid and trite. I'm telling you, my friends tell me that I was kicking and screaming the whole time. But strangely enough, when I walked in the door, the first thing I felt was this huge sense of relief, in spite of what I must have projected on the outside. It was just a huge sense of relief. And all I saw before me, it wasn't like walking into any other meetings, because all the people that were in the room looked like, I will say, normal people. People were not overweight like in other programs that you walk in the door to. So there I was thinking, well, they sure look a lot happier than I feel. So I'm going to stick around. And I remember there were only 2 people that were available to sponsor that day. And I walked up to one of them and I said, will you sponsor me? And she gave me such a face. I could tell she did not want to sponsor me. I don't know why, at this point. And I was a bulldog. I said, I'm not walking out of this room without a sponsor. That's how scared I was, and that's how ready I was to wave the white flag. By the time I walked in the door, I just said, I give up. These people can tell me to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. I am jumping. And so I made this person take me on. She raised her hand. I wasn't letting her go. And this person, she couldn't have been more diametrically opposed to me as a person in terms of our politics, our way of thinking, our religion, our everything. She was like totally on the other side of the spectrum. And I have to tell you, none of that mattered one little bit, not one bit. And she was a great sponsor. She really was. And so I had her for a year, and then she had a mess up, and I had to get somebody else. And I've been with that other person for, now it's been close to 15 years. So imagine calling the same person every day for 15 years, every morning, and saying, this is what I'm going to eat. It's in the book. Here it is in the book. I read it every day. The cover says, I'm all about food. That's what the cover says. So, staples. I found it. I had to have it. So anyway, it's been a marvelous experience. I always tell newcomers when people first walk in the door, I always say, you don't know this yet, but this is the luckiest day of your life. And I really feel like this truly is the most important thing in my life. It's totally changed the trajectory of my life for many reasons. I can move in space. I don't have to feel like I'm going to take down the tablecloth when I walk by someplace in a restaurant, because when you're really obese, you're bumping into things and dragging them with you as you go. And there's so many things. I can buckle the seatbelt on the plane. I don't have to worry about chafing and the misery of hot, humid summers that I used to have to worry about. So many things. The best thing of all is, for me, has been the clarity, the clarity of mind that you get when you put down the all the carbs and everything that's clouding everything up. I always think that so many things, so many opportunities went flying by that I just did not recognize because I was in the food. So many things.
5 minutes. 5 left, Nance.
Okay, thanks. Opportunities to find new directions in life, to just everything, my relationships with people. So I just, just getting back to the slogans, my favorite one is move a muscle, change a thought. If I'm really feeling crappy, if I'm really feeling depressed, if I'm feeling upset, if I say, okay, what do I got to do to get out of this? I'm going to get up. I'm going to do something. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to move that muscle because I do not want to stay there. The other thing that's important is the plan, prepare, and protect. So when I travel, when I go places, when I meet people, I always make sure I have what I need with me so that I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to have that anxious feeling of, oh, am I going to be able to get my gray sheet food? I don't go to restaurants much anymore because COVID is, I just don't want to be in small places with lots of people and kind of waiting that out right now. And it's kind of sad because I've had to pass on parties and things, but I just don't want to find out 2 days later that I've got COVID. I just don't want to deal with that. So that's, there's so much that's changed. And most important of all to me has been, I have a daughter who's going to be, she's going to be 49 this year. I don't believe it. But anyway, we had a really tough time for 25 years. I mean, we had icy and barely cordial, barely polite for 25 years since my divorce. And because of Gray Sheet, because of going to the AWOLs, a way of life, the step studies that you can take advantage of if you're new and you and study the steps in a group situation, which is really wonderful. After 90 days, that changed my life. I did a really long AWOL. It was probably maybe it was over a year. It was one of those intense long-term AWOLs with a group of people. And when I got to my steps 8 and 9, where you have to make your amends, I did it. I did it. And the hardest one was the last one with my daughter. And it was really the most meaningful. And, she said to me, I've been waiting my whole life to hear you say that. That's what she said. I know it just kind of cut my heart. But when you do your amends, you clean up your side of the street. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. How the other person reacts, you have to clean up your side. And so I did that. I said, is there anything that you want me to explain to? She never let me hear, she never wanted to hear my side of the story, but I wanted to offer it. She said, no, we're good. We're good. And we were good. We're good. We're pretty good. It's way better than I ever could have expected. And I don't know, this whole thing's a miracle. I just, every day I say, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. I have a roof over my head. I have food in the fridge. I have friends. I have two big circles that I run in, and they intersect sometimes, like a Venn diagram. I've got you people. I've got this community, which is so supportive, and it took me the longest time to trust. I finally feel like after all these years, I finally feel like I have a community. I urge you new folks, take advantage of these people, this built-in community that is rooting for you, that wants you to succeed. Your success is my success. Just because I need you. That's, I don't know, it's just kind of really an amazing program. And I guess I'll end it there before I cry. How's that? Thanks.